It's like we're all alone, dogs. This was a spur of the moment thing. Decided that, oh, look, we have children. What's up, Wyatt? We're live on. Say hi to the YouTube guys.
What's up?
All right. Nobody's watching it, but I guess there might be someone any minute. Oh, we have one viewer. There's one person just rolled in. Oh, we got another child rolling in. Coming in heavy. These are not my children. Yeah, hey guys, I hadn't been live in a while, so I thought I would just do a little Labor Day live. What I'm doing this morning is about 5:30 a.m. I woke up, had a cup of coffee, and I took a gate down that we no longer use, and I chopped that sucker into two gates, a big one and a short one. And my wife helped me move some stuff around, and I did some welding and some grinding and some metal cutting. Got nice and filthy and sweaty and stinky. And then it was about maybe 10 a.m. I went out for a mid-morning paramotor ride. The thermals are already getting strong today. I did some thermaling yesterday. That was cool. I went up maybe 600 feet, killed the motor, and then flew for about an hour. I did an out and back, like a 6 mile out, 6 mile into the wind back, and then I may do a similar flight today. I've not even looked at the weather or the wind conditions. I literally just got home from. I drove to town and went flying. There's the four-wheeler park over here by town, and they're having like the mud stock. They calling it mud stock today. So all the people were basically leaving, but I like to go over there and check out the four-wheelers and wave at the girls and stuff. So that's fun. Nobody flashed their boobies today. It was 0 for 0. I didn't get mooned either. You know, that's kind of a funny thing that happened the last time that I went over to. Oh no, no. Let me go back to the first time I went to Muddy Bottoms. I got like three girls showed me their boobies, like woohoo, looky here, and I thought that was just amazing. So I went back the next ride they had, and I flew over, and like three dudes mooned me their ass, and so that was not good. And so I'm like 0 for 0. Nothing good or bad has happened since then. But yeah, it's heating up. I'm just chilling. I've got some training scheduled for this evening, and I just hadn't been live. Thought I'd come on here and say, hey, answer some questions. Is anybody asking questions I've not even read yet? I was just ranting as usual. Let's go back. Let's see. Michael, hey, Mitch, Starfighter. What's up, Ken? Greg Harris, how you doing, man? Parker, Chad. We got UK guy. What time is it there? Like 2 a.m.? What are you still doing up? Golf Foxtrot 22. Is that Giles? Did you change your name? I don't know. Let's see. Heard somebody mention something about that earlier. What's up, Josh? Old Okie PPG pilot. I think I know you. I can't remember your real name. What throttle am I using, Mitch? I got a bunch of different ones on different paramotors. On the Maverick, I've got a Blackhawk throttle, and I've got a fake Polini on one of my training units, and I've got a Vitarazzi on the other training unit, and then I got a homemade one on my homemade one. Jacksonville, getting ready for Dorian. Oh yeah, Dorian. I guess it's fixing to ride up the coast. I looked at the weather models yesterday. It looks like it's just going to cut straight north and just scrape the East Coast all the way up, as far as I can tell. Yeah, Paul, I was thermaling, but I was wearing a paramotor. It was actually, when I got down to the end of the run, I tried to restart it, and I couldn't. It wouldn't crank, and I was having to thermal and restart the motor, and I just said F it, and I just went just straight thermaling, and I was able to push into the wind and make it back. And actually, when I came back, I gained 1,000 feet. So at the end of my run, I was at a lake and a swamp. I couldn't really go further safely, so I was at 2,000 feet, and then I climbed. And when I climbed, as I was pushing into the wind, I only turned a few times, but I went 6 miles basically into the wind and climbed 1,000 feet with no motor. And when I arrived at the airport, I was about 3,300 feet off the ground, and it was just, I just loitered around, just getting some practice in. It was a good day. We had a good time. Love your new coffee mug. Oh yeah. What's up? Paramotor crazy. Full moon. Oh, no, it ain't. Oh yeah. What I was talking about a while ago. Just say it's just a little crescent moon. I just saw it last night, Parker. Yeah, Dave Ruff tonight. Will he want to cuddle after? I don't know. I've never cuddled with him. Hey, Mom! Mom's watching. What's up, Mom? Love you. That's fun. What's up, Rip Man? Hey there. Michael Kennedy, I'd like to see a transparent glider. Hey, a dude made one, Michael Kennedy. Look for like homemade paraglider. This kid, he was like in engineering school. I say kid, I think he was a young guy. He made a paraglider out of clear plastic, like trash bag stuff. And he built it and he flew the thing off a training hill. It was a pretty neat video. I saw it a few years ago. I bet you can find it with a little YouTube Kung Fu. You could probably find that video. See, busy keeping and on the Hurricane. You have any experience with the APCO lift wing? No, I don't, Greg. I'd be curious to try one of those out. APCO, I guess they make a fair set of products. I've got several APCO products of my own, but no gliders from them, so I can't speak to that. Yeah, okay. You met me at the foot drag. You were hanging out with Steve when I did my instructor clinic, I bet. That was probably when we met, Okie Pilot. Let's see, what's up, Nicholas? John, thumbs down. Let's see, what do you think of the Ozone Mojo wing? Ozone Mojo is one of the safer wings that there is in this world. It hangs back. It's a real dog to launch in very nil conditions. But if you have 3-4 miles an hour wind, it's not that bad. Very safe. Great wing to learn on and figure a lot of things out. It'll keep you safe. And it has a lot of passive safety, but with passive safety comes some lack in performance. So that's the trade-off, and it always has been, but usually you don't hear people speak about that when they talk about wing characteristics. Yeah, the trade-off for passive safety is performance. So once you learn to fly, you know, stepping up in a little bit of performance may not be a bad thing. You just don't want to go outside of your normal flight character, you know, how you fly. You don't want to change that up just because you step up, but yeah, Mojo's good. Always a good day when there's a Kylo vid. I don't know. Kylo Live is a little different because I don't really have a topic. I was just like, oh, live. I hadn't done that in a minute. Let's give it a shot. I feel like talking. Hey, what's up, Tina? A local girl. How about that? Jay, Tony. Yeah, Sven from Sweden, I guess. Hey, what's up? There's Dave Ruff right there. Hey, the other Dave Wolf wants to know how good of a cuddler you are, Dave. I told him I didn't know. Just testing not thumbs down. Yeah, I don't care. The little secret, the thumbs down really doesn't bother me that bad. It's just, I make jokes about it. I got jokes. All right. Hey, I think I'm at the end of the comments there. Yeah, so, looks like it's clouding up, man. There's some cumulus developing. It's, probably 11 o'clock-ish. I don't know. I hadn't looked at a clock today. I saw the sunrise. I was out there sweating as the sun was rising. If you had to replace your Hedron XX, what would you replace it with? Probably another one. That is a badass wing. I just went on a Hedron XX ride a few minutes ago, and it's just a great glider. I can't knock it for anything. It does everything mostly good. It really does. I mean, it's a small wing, so you're not going to get efficiency. But in strong thermals, you can climb in strong thermals. I did a couple of climbs a while ago in those morning thermals. I've not found a good replacement for the Hedron XX in the wings that I've tested. There are some that are close, but it's just, with a paramotor, I like a long trim range because I'm not pushing speed bar. I rarely attach speed bar if I'm paramotoring. Maybe if I'm out thermaling and like trying to do a cross country, I'll attach a speed bar on it with the motor off. But most of the time I'm not. You don't need to get speed to penetrate because it's a motor. You can climb. So most of the time I don't attach a speed bar to my motor. And a lot of wings have most of their speed tied up in the bar. Whereas the Dudek offerings seem to have most of the speed in the trimmers. And then the bar gives you, as much or less. But I find with Ozone, you get like a little bit of trim range and then a lot of speed bar. So I prefer a lot of trim on paramotor, and I prefer a lot of bar on paraglider. So again, there's no right or wrong or best or worst. It's just you find a wing and a profile that fits the style of flying that you plan on doing and whatever the conditions are offering. So You know, good, strong, held together thermal days. I want to go out on a wing I can thermal in. I rode the Xeno yesterday. That was my weapon of choice. And I find myself grabbing that wing every time it's middle of the day. It's just an amazing tool to go up with. it goes like it has a motor. It just goes up, man. If the air is moving at all, you could probably find a core and ride it up. I'd like to earn money as a PPG pilot outside of attaining a commercial pilot license. What are the options? Teaching, Richard. That's how I do it. I've got a side job, basically. I work 2 jobs now, pharmacist and paramotor instructor. I gave the guys the morning off because it was dead calm this morning, and you know, they're ground handling, and we're going to wait till this evening when we have a little wind and we can do some real training out there. But yeah, the only way to really make money with paramotoring is to teach it and then charge for the lessons. Not exactly the same thing, but I don't believe they allow commercial operations in Part 103 aircraft. So you're just up the creek here in the United States of America. So it may be in other countries they allow it, and they'll take, you know, you can take payment for paramotoring, like maybe banner towing something. I don't know. I've not researched the world laws, but that's how it is in this country. Yeah, spicy air, hot and switchy. That's right, Stan. That's why you go high on days like that. Flew any Mac Parawings? Yes, John, I have. Charger, I started on a Muse 3. That was a pretty good wing. I learned to fly my first year. Basically, 80% of the stuff that I know, I learned on a Muse 3 by Mac Para. Nice wing. I don't think they make it anymore, but very, very good wing to learn all you need to do on. It's pretty agile for an A-wing, and it's an A-wing. I like to earn money. Okay, we saw that. Yeah, Kyle. Let's go through best advice for no-wind launches. Blew several yesterday. That's funny. I'm currently editing a video where I blow 3 in a row nil wind launches on that Xeno. And the 4th attempt, it was like just the tiniest little breeze blowing, and that's all it took. It put me over the limit. That wing's a hard wing to launch, even with some wind. Well, with some wind, it's not. But strong wind, it's a little more difficult, and with ultralight winds, apparently it's difficult as well. That was the only time I'd ever taken it out in truly nil conditions. Windsock was just like limp noodle, man, like no flagger at all. It was just stuck to the pole. So I blew 3 launches just trying, and I was trying different layout techniques, and anyway, I say blew. I didn't really blow them. I boarded them because of whatever reason. One of them, it went a real bad horseshoe. The next one, it fell way over to the right, and I caught myself having to run toward some obstructions in order to get under the center. And then I don't remember the third one. It was not, I don't know what happened. I'll look back at the video. That video's coming soon. It's in the editor right now, I believe. So yeah, I blew some launches in nil wind. It happens to everybody. That's the hardest time to do paramotoring or paragliding is in nil. Now, 2 miles an hour may seem nil, but that's enough to make the difference quite often. So if you're like looking at 2 and calling that nil, and I do quite often, 0 to 2 is nil, but launching in 0 is the worst. And it may have even been a bit of a tailwind component because it was kind of shifty beforehand. And I even had to reset up at a different spot in the yard because it shifted what little was there. So it could have been like a tailwind coming in and blowing my launches for me, like coming in behind me as I was inflating. Tough to say, but yeah, it happens to everybody. Don't sweat it. Just keep practicing. Find out what you're doing. Take a video and go back and review your technique and see why you're blowing the launches. Chances are you're not getting fast enough soon enough. You're not hitting it hard enough at the end of those A's, or it's coming up crooked, or you're making a horseshoe. In my case, I was horseshoeing it, but it's a D glider. It's this long, skinny glider. It's hard to do anything with, but that's the best advice is to video yourself from the ground. Like take a third-party perspective. You could go back and review that video, and it's so helpful to see what you're doing. Just frame for frame it. Look, I bet your hands come down too early, and pull that wing back down before it gets any speed. You got to hit the gas first, sometimes before you even let go of the A's. A lot of it depends on the paraglider and the flight characteristics of that particular wing. Some of them like to fall back. Some of them like to tip over and fly. It varies. It varies. Let's see here. Hey, thanks, Chad. Would you ever trike fly? I have. I've trained people to fly wheels. I've flown them before. It's not that difficult. It's just a little different technique. You learn in different conditions. Have a Dudek Universal. Risk using big brakes when trimmed out. Why only use tip steering? Ted, I've not actually looked into the manual of that wing. I keep the trims in for basically training and maneuvering. I let them out once, but some wings, when you let the trims out, it puts so much weight on the front of that glider that if you use brakes, it kind of makes the glider like taco, like it'll fold like this is probably what'll happen. And it may not recover if the trims are out. I don't know. It depends on what wing and what flight characteristics you're looking at, but brakes and full reflex, it will probably cause a fold in the wing and cause it to collapse like a damn taco shell upside down. That's probably why you shouldn't. But read your manual, refer to your manual for any specifics on your particular glider, and it should be spelled out specifically in there what to do and maybe what'll happen if you don't. It probably just says don't do it because that's what'll happen. Best advice for forward launches is a lightweight material. Do you agree, Kyle? Inflate themselves practically? Not necessarily. What if the glider's out of trim? If it's out of trim, it doesn't matter what it's made out of. It won't hardly inflate. So that does make it more helpful. A single surface glider is super easy to inflate. I currently have one of those in the inventory now, and I've been training with that. It's amazing to teach people to kite with. I really like the single skin glider. That's pretty neat. Thoughts on Charger? Charger's a good wing. You could grow into that wing and learn to fly. A guy did his first flight on a Charger yesterday. He's been a student for maybe 8 months now, and he's a local guy, so he's not had to like stay for an extended time and get it all in. He's been kiting and saving, and and it finally got to the point where he wasn't getting the towing. He did like a bunch of tow flights, so he's like, I'm just gonna rent your motor. So he come up with the $500, rented my motor, and we did a launch and a flight yesterday on a MacPara Charger, so that was good. Haven't played with trimmers yet. Tonight will be the night. What can I expect to feel going from neutral to trims out? You'll feel a little increase in speed. It's really not that big of a deal, Josh. You'll let the trimmers out. Let them out equally. If you let one out before the other, it might go into a turn, something like that. Let them out symmetrically. Even if you dump them all the way, I prefer to dump mine all the way. Let the glider shoot a little bit and you'll speed up. You'll probably have to add a little gas to stay level because it's going to take some more thrust because you lose some efficiency by dumping those trims, and you'll feel a little more wind in your face, and that's it. And then if you want to pull some trims back in, you can pull them in easier than you can let them out. So I dump them, get fast, and then I pull in to where I want on both sides symmetrically, and that's my preferred method for trimmer adjustment, Josh. Where were we at here? Aloha. Oh, you from down there in, I've flown some Niviuk gliders. I've flown a couple of Doberman offerings. Kid Taco, like that name. So yeah, I want to go fly Hawaii sometime. I think that would be an amazing place to fly. Like coastal soaring, y'all got a mountain there, all kind of stuff. Let's see, Neil Wind is not a problem, but for PPG is my nemesis. Yeah, it's everybody's. That's, you launching off a hill may be a benefit. If you have a hill that you can run down in Neil Winds, that might be helpful. You can build speed faster. It's the speed that makes them fly. And the problem with Neil Winds is you have to generate all your speed. Even those first 2 or 3 miles an hour, you've got to generate that. Usually if you have just a light breeze that you can launch into, that's already there. By the end of the inflation, you've got 3 miles an hour. In Neil Winds, by the end of the inflation, if you complete the inflation, you're starting at 0 at that point, and you've got to accelerate, aggressively to build speed before you can even touch the brakes, or it'll fall back down. What second wing would you recommend for a 150-hour pilot? There's no one wing. There's a lot of options, Craig. There's, I don't even want to list a whole list of names. There's several intermediate gliders. Just 3 off the top of my head are the MacPara Colorado, the Dudek Nucleon, and the Ozone Sirocco 2. Those would be 3 gliders that you could easily step into. With 150 hours of like real flying, like you've learned all the maneuvers and you've really flexed your wing that you've got to its maximum. Like you can do wing overs and spirals and entries and exits. Not that that's a good thing to practice outside of a SIV. SIV course, I did all those things before I progressed to a different wing. I learned all the maneuvers that I know well. Again, 80% of them or so. I learned a few tricks after that. On the first wing, that A wing, I learned everything on that A wing, and that's a good thing to do. Hey, what's up, Paragringo? I guess it's early over there. Is the sun up yet in California? Only blew one launch. I like zero wind, knock on wood. Yeah, most of the time I do well. Just that particular wing, I've got to figure out the nuances of that. That was the first time I tried it in zero. And again, my first threes were aborts for various reasons. I can launch that Hadron XX in zero wind first try, like, I don't know, probably 50 times in a row I've launched it in nil winds without problem, but it's the one I've been going to the most. I've got experience on it. The Xeno I've not, so that was a new experience with that, and I'll have to go back and next time I get nil winds, try that again. A lot of Swede lineage. Just got my Spider 3 custom. Bicep bruises. Yeah, Spider 3 is a nice wing. It's pretty agile for a beginner wing, or it may not be beginner. I think maybe a big wing. Somebody might chime in on that. I look at so many placards that it all kind of starts running together after a while. Letting trims out allows for more collapses. Not really. If you let the trims out and pull the brakes, you can have a collapse on certain gliders, John. That's what we were discussing. Just letting trims out actually decreases the likelihood of a collapse, but it also dampens the ability to counter collapse recovery maneuvers. Did I say that right? I'm probably not speaking English again. The glider is going to be more difficult to recover in a fully reflex trims out mode than it would be in a trims in more classic profile type mode. So that's the trade-off. What's your max wind speed you'll fly in? I flew in 20 miles an hour in the mountains one time. It was 18, 20. There was 3 or 4 of us did a mountain launch. We were all advanced pilots. And at one point when I climbed up into like the compression zone, I was going backwards about 4 or 5 miles an hour. So it could have been 28, 29 mile per hour winds that I was in near launch. But you know, you can fly in strong winds, just not near mountains or ground is kind of the safety thing. And it was smooth winds. So you got to look at each condition specifically. You know, 20 miles an hour out in front of a mountain may not be that big of a deal if it's giving you some good lift. But again, those are advanced conditions. So that's the most I've ever flown in on that one particular flight. I just remember looking down and seeing that the GPS was indicating a backwards movement. So I pushed the bar and penetrated out in front of it, and did a good flight. I think I did like an hour thermal flight that day. It was fun. And most of my flights are about an hour, whether they're thermals or not. I just go up and practice, just do a little short practice session, and then bag it up and go do other stuff or continue teaching or whatever. So being a teacher kind of limits you to flying middle of the day only, weirdly enough. So mornings and evenings, I'm usually out there helping the students along, and then when it gets all rocky and bumpy and thermally, it's my turn to go out and play. So that's turned into a lot of thermal practice lately. Just go up, kill the motor, practice. There's no local training in my area. I'm a dead zone. South Carolina, Jax. I've had several people from South Carolina drive over here. 2 or 3 people at least this year have driven from North South Carolina to come get some training down here at my school. So it's not too far. You want to come? My Spider specifically says don't use the brakes with trims out, only tip steering. There you go. It depends on the glider. Different models have different recommendations from the manual. Always refer to your manufacturer's instructions on your glider. How do most people let trims out? Brakes stowed and let independently? You can. I prefer to have the brakes in my hand because my glider can be braked with the trims out. So if I need controls in my hand, I will. It's not necessary in smooth air, but you know, just depends on the conditions. If it's rough air, I like my controls in my hand. I may have to make a quick movement to counter a shoot or a thermal or a gradient or something. So yeah, if you can get in trouble letting go of your controls. If it's buttery smooth air and you've got altitude, whatever, stow them. Yeah, go up high where it's smooth and you got altitude. You can stow your brakes or leave them in your hand. I usually tuck them onto my wrist and do whatever I need to do. That way I've got them in my hands if I need to come down on them. Yet I can still manipulate other parts of the glider or harness or whatever. That's what I've been doing. When's the next Paracarnival? I'm guessing the next Eclipse, Stan. That's what I'm aiming for, which is 2024, I believe, and it's going to be in my neighborhood. May even be over here in East Texas. It's a weather chase. An Eclipse chase is a weather chase. You're going for the dry air. so that you can guarantee that you can see the eclipse. So you have to look at the weather and make a move just a day or two before, usually. If you're having to come across the country to get in line with the totality, then you kind of stage yourself somewhere and then go from there. I think we're having a party over at Dave Ruff's house, Trike Flyer. He's throwing like an eclipse paramotor party. And I think the eclipse is coming right over his place. So we'll have a spot there if we want to go like congregate somewhere. But I'll be ready to travel. I'll be stacked and packed and ready to roll north or south, depending on where the clear skies are. Jeff, you're going to Panorama. Nice. Nice. Yeah, I'm just going to fly local. Again, I've got training this evening, so that keeps me kind of close to home. I wish I could go up to the mountains. I've not been able to do as much this summer, and I really miss it, but I've still been doing my regular thermal flying. It's just either hire somebody to come tow me up, get my help to come out and bring out the tow gear, or go up with the motor, which is what I've been doing more of lately, and just killing the motor and thermaling around. My Vario took a crap on me the other day, so I ordered a new one, and then it started working again. It just had to boot up. It took like an hour to boot up. I hadn't had it on in a minute, and I ended up doing a thermal session without any instrumentation at all. I just went up with the buzzards to feel it out. Ended up climbing to cloud base. Then I cranked the motor and kept on going until I got freezing cold, probably somewhere around 9,000 feet. It took me a half hour to get down, so that was pretty neat. It was like glass, but it was freezing up there. That was a week or so ago. And then yesterday I just went up and down around 3,000 feet. Kyle, you have time to prepare Arizona Flying Circus in February. Yeah, that might be good. February might be an option. I have some family travels coming up this winter. I'll be going to Colorado, taking family on a ski trip. I don't know when yet. I probably would just look for good conditions and just bail when it looks right for skiing, as like I do for flying. So that's the hope. Looking for a good tutorial on how to properly hook up my reserve chute. Can you do a short tutorial on a reserve hookup and mount? Yeah, maybe, but I would hate for somebody to look at that and do it wrong. That's something you really want to learn with somebody who knows how to do it firsthand. I do teach people how to do that in my class, but a video could lead to an error because not all reserves are hooked up the same way. So if you were doing the exact same setup that I was doing, then that may be a thing. But it's all about routing and how it's packed and how it deploys. You just need to think it through, but specifically have somebody that knows what they're doing show you how to do it. That's how I learned. I got with an expert, a rigger, and he showed me how to do it. So that's how I learned. Need to get my butt back down, get this trike up. Oh, you got a trike, Ken? That's awesome. Let's see, any plans to Facebook or YouTube live while flying? I hadn't thought about it. Usually I'm focused on the flying. I may have the vlog helmet going, making my usual video stuff, but I don't know, holding a phone out in front of me, I can't seem to battle the wind noise very often. When it's on a flight deck, it seems to work pretty good. It blocks out the wind noise on the mic, but just holding it in my hand, I can't ever seem to find it where people can hear me talk, Greg. I've tried to do it a few times. U-turn progress, but same general concept as any B reflex with 2D inputs. Why is bigger and not better in wings? Because if you're lightly loaded on a wing, it's more likely to take collapses. You're not as loaded, so the air can whack it and cause it to fold in on you. I did a video a while back where I took up a tandem glider and a paraglider harness on a training hill, and just in some real light thermals I was barely climbing in, the tips were folding in on it. It's because I didn't have enough weight on it. You have to load them properly in order for them to be collapse resistant. And that's why it's better to be loaded more toward the top. If it's buttery air and you're not able to run very fast, then a bigger glider may be what you need. It's different for each pilot, each place they're flying. A higher altitude launch would require a bigger glider. They may be better in those situations. There's no better or worse. There's just pros and cons to each thing. Guys that live at the beach who are always reverse launching, they typically fly a smaller size. Guys who live like way into the mountains where it's calmer winds in a valley up high somewhere, maybe they want a bigger wing. Pros and cons depending on what's happening. What's the most profound lesson you learned when flying out here at Torrey and Blossom? That I probably should have practiced more on the grass before going to the mountain, but take what you get, Peregringo. It was strong that day. I regret going out there and trying it on the mountain in strong winds because that could have led to an accident. I was able to handle it. It never really got away from me. I tripped. I say it did. Yeah, I was in control of it, even though it did drag me and pluck me several times. I was never injured, but it could have been. It could have been a bad scenario. So I regret that I even unbagged it in those crazy nuclear conditions out there, where even the locals were like plowing in and crashing on the mountain. I was out there trying to learn to fly a two-liner in those conditions. Should have saved that for Torrey. Other than that, yeah, don't cut off somebody on the landing pattern at Torrey. That was the other valuable lesson, I reckon. So all good there. Are you going to Gillem this evening? That's the plan, Bill. It looking like it may be east-northeast, so we're going out there kiting and flying and doing what we do. It's been cool watching this live, do it more often. Yeah, usually I don't have time, John. I'm always working my 2 jobs. It's just odd that I have a little break right now, and it was comfortable enough to sit out here and do this. I fly powered parachutes, ultralight planes, but I watch and enjoy your videos. Thanks, Josh Evans. That's cool. In regards to safety, collapses because the wing is less rigid from weight, or is weight an issue with wing rigidity? Yeah, the more weight you put on one, the more loaded they are. You're loaded, so the wing is less likely to collapse. There's more air pressure pushing into that glider because there's more weight pulling on it. So yeah, more weight causes more rigidity, you could say. Sophie, I'm new to live chat, so checking it out as I never knew existed here. So hi again. All right, hey Sophie. Kiting here in West Palm Beach. That's cool. Ohio. Looks like I lost the live feed. Chuck in Charlotte. You ever tried wheel launch? Yes, I've launched some wheels a few times. Let's see. Good luck with the storm down there. Ohio. Have you ever used a reserve? No, not in anger. I've never thrown a reserve in hatred. I've thrown one practice throw, thrown it in my head a million times mentally, thought about where I was going to throw it, how I was going to throw it. I probably do that once every flight, like just kind of like learning to draw your pistol. You reach down and you touch it, and that's the main thing, is the draw. So if you can draw, reach down, grab the handle, like, okay, I got this. I could do it in an emergency, no problem. Best thing about an emergency is to keep your cool and think your thoughts. You may have to act fast, but don't panic act. Don't just do stuff because you want to do stuff. Most people overreact in a sketch situation, and they start pulling on the controls and flailing around, and that generally causes things to be way worse than what they would be if you just let go. A lot of times people just let go of their brakes and try to get their reserve out, and by the time they throw it, the glider opens up and flies away. So that's a typical thing, and you just want to think about what's going on and fly that glider every second, even in a sketch situation. Having altitude is a big plus, but yeah, if you need to throw your reserve, don't hesitate. It's never the wrong move. Just don't throw it because you're scared. Throw it because something's wrong and you need to throw it. What would be the second most important accessory? Probably just your mind, Josh, like being sharp and thinking about the glide path, looking ahead on your flight and thinking about where am I going. That's the most important, is your skills. What up, Wyatt? See you Friday to start training. That's right, JB. Should be good by then. I've got a hot patch, and then maybe it'll straighten up for us. You're helping me so many like myself. Yeah, you're Warwick. You're welcome, Eric. That's what I was trying to get out of my face there. Let's see, Tony, what's up? Hey man, thanks for all the knowledge. Much love from Arkansas. Let's see, get the Ozone Spider 2, Kathy's motor reserves ready to go. Hope my phone doesn't die. Damn autocorrect. Okay, I think we're down here at the end of the comments. I guess I'll stay on here a few more minutes if anybody's got any further questions, and then I'm probably gonna go get a shower. I smell like I've been working in the yard since 5:30 this morning. They say if you can smell yourself, everybody else can smell you for 3 days. I don't know. Do you smell me, Wyatt? That's Wyatt, y'all. Say what's up. Wyatt says what's up. I enjoy your videos. Hope I can train with you. All righty, hell. Bring it, dude. Hey, what's up, Super Dave? Anyway, no, that was just a Kylo on the back porch session. Maybe you got something out of it. Maybe not. I don't know. Thanks for all the support, everybody. The guys that are tuning in, watching the videos regularly. That's cool. Anything else? No. 106 viewers, smashing it. Yeah, oh, I guess so. I didn't even looked at the view counter in a minute. 108. It's going up. When flying tandem, did both people have a reserve? No, you clip the reserve usually onto the main beaners, and then there's a special tie-in where you can tie to the B mallions hooked to the reserve. So if you deploy your reserve, it B-stalls the main tandem chute. That's a pretty nifty setup when you're putting a reserve on a tandem setup. Is when you throw the reserve, it automatically deflates your main glider, so you don't have to fiddle with that, and you can just fumble with the reserve on the way down. On your way, thanks for the like feed. Happy Labor Day. Thanks, man. Wife says you need to come out to Montana. I love to come to Montana. I'm planning on maybe this coming summer, around this time of the year when it's just blazing hot here, maybe shooting up north, going up to Montana, and then cutting across west and going out and checking out Washington and Oregon and the Pacific Northwest. I've never traveled out there, so I've made the loop through Utah, Arizona, New Mexico. I've checked out the Colorado mountains. I've flown the Wyoming prairies, but I've never gone like way north, like the Dakotas, Montana, Idaho, Washington, Oregon. I'd like to check that out. So that's my last little bit of America to explore, and I'm thinking I might do that coming up into summer 2020 when it just gets so hot that it's difficult to train. Then I may just take a little vacay and head north out of there. Lost a little lift yesterday. Thought I heard. Sounded like a towel snap. Was that a possible collapse? Yeah, probably a tip. If you shot out of a thermal, you could take a tip if you weren't ready for it. Best thing to do when you shoot out of a thermal is kind of come down in your brakes to pressurize that glider a little bit. I do that like 50 times a day, I think. Let's see. I think I've said it before. I'm just north of Portland. Have a travel trailer for you and the fam. Yeah. I've got the invites, and yeah, people offer me places to camp and stay. That's just amazing. That is one of the real cool benefits to this channel that I never actually foresaw, is that I would have so many people that tuned in and will offer me things like places to stay and, come chill with the family type deal. It's almost like I know people everywhere now, and that's just an amazing thing that I never saw coming. I really feel the love, so appreciate that. Happy to reciprocate it. 6 foot 190, 60 years old. What would be a good paramotor for me to learn with? Good physical condition. Ken, a light one. I'm a fan of the light stuff. I'm going light myself. Yeah, man. That if you're in shape, 60 years old, it's fine. I could teach you how to fly before you had to buy anything. Drop $1,000 on some instruction, and then you'll know how to fly anything you buy, and you'll have some options to try. So, are reflex wings safe, David? That depends on what you do with them. Just like any wing out there. Ken, you could fly an Atom 80 with appropriate size wing. 8,500-mile road trip to my Lotus last year through the Pacific Northwest. Most beautiful part of this country. You love it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm 60 in training on a Flight 18. I use F-Lite. So in your opinion, which is the safest paramotor or free flight glide rig you used a few months ago? I mean, there's lots of safe ones, The passive safety is built into the A and B class gliders, and then when you step over into the C and D class gliders, you sacrifice some of the passive safety for performance. But the idea is, as you progress, you have learned to fly those gliders so that you don't have to rely on the passive safety any longer. You are actually putting in the moves to keep those gliders open and flying, and that's the trade-off, and that's why you don't step up too soon. At first, you just rely on the glider to keep you safe. As you progress, you rely on your skills to keep you safe, and developing those proper skills and how to fly and how to read the conditions and make that glider do the proper thing in and out of thermals or gradients or whatever you're in. That's the real key. That's what keeps you safe, is how you do it, not what you do it on. So again, it depends on what you have and what you're doing. And yeah, that's the short version of that answer. Got a free flight launch site in Northern California if you happen to be in the area. Oh, that's awesome. Awesome. Private launch is amazing. Hey, what's up, Jim? You think it's okay to put a smoke system on the smaller Atom 80? I don't know. I'm not drilling any more of my exhaust on the Smoke's fun. It was a trip. I enjoyed it, but then the muffler fell apart. The pipe fell apart. So whatever. I'm not gonna sacrifice a pipe. If somebody gives me one that's tapped and ready, I might switch it out and do it, but not anything I'm aiming for. Have you ever flown Superdale's brand of wing? Wondering if there's an objective opinion out there. I think it's just like a passive safety type wing. I don't think there's anything super special about it. I've sat on his paramotor, and I got to tell you, it's not very ergonomic or comfortable. I don't care for the flat top paramotor. The wing, I don't know. I don't see people singing praises on them except for him and the guys that have never flown anything else. So there's that. Maybe somebody who's flown that glider and other types of gliders can chime in, but I don't see anything super special about his glider. It's a K2. Okay, that's an old design. It's probably an old design, old whatever, safe. It's probably an A glider. It looks like an A glider as far as just at a glance. It's got that low aspect ratio. I think he just flies them super duper small. It's almost like speed wing type stuff. So really a paramotor should be a step before free flight. No, not necessarily. If you're in a proper location for free flight, do it, because you're learning to fly the wing. The wing's what you're flying. Most new guys have the skewed misperception that you're flying the paramotor, and you're not. You're flying the glider. The paramotor is merely an accessory, and it doesn't matter what the hell is on your back turning a propeller that's pushing you in the air. You're still flying the glider, and that is that's your ride. It's not the motor. So that's a common misconception with people stepping into the sport, is they want the paramotor, but really they should be looking for the glider. That's the vehicle. So there you go. That's my thought and feeling on that. Draxler said if he can his hands on the Dominator, he'll give it a review. Yeah, I would too. I'm just not going to buy one to do it. What is the Speedster 2 like? I have 10 years of free fly, 3 hours PPG. I've not flown the Speedster 2. I believe it is a heavier version of the Sirocco 2. So I could probably imagine what kind of flight characteristics it has. It's probably going to shoot a little more because there's more inertia to it. Might have a little stiffer braking, that sort of thing. But I don't know. Probably pretty similar. Probably a nice wing. Let's see. Have you seen the SkyTap Angel motor? Yeah, that's the one that Andrew Fuller is making up there in Utah. Hopefully he improved it, because that was an old design, that old flat top. Since you flew both Parajet and Nitro, what is your preference? It's kind of a toss-up, Kenton. There's pros and cons to each of them. Nitro was lighter weight. They're both titanium. They're both very comfortable. The Nitro gave me a little more flexibility with harness adjustments. I prefer the round tubes on the swing arms with the collars, so that you can get infinite adjustment. It also is just a safer connection, having that soft loop wrapped around the arm. The harness, again, there's pros and cons. It's a real tie as far as like the Maverick has a little more torque than the Nitro, but it also has a little more power. I can't seem to lean it back as far as I'd like. Like if it had one more hole of adjustment out there on the end, I could kick back just that last notch and be like perfect comfort. But it's not a deal breaker. I'm not uncomfortable on it. It's not even something I think about anymore. But that was something that I noticed initially, was I couldn't lean back as far on that Maverick as I could on the Nitro 200. I just sold it because I'd had a bunch of hours on it and a guy wanted it, and I had a deal on the Maverick, so I just traded out for the Maverick to give that one a try. I'm not a fanboy on anything, man. I'll fly everything there is. Anything I can get my hands on, I'll try out. If I find some shit that I like better, then I'll fly that, trade out for that. And then so I've got new gear coming in and out. I buy stuff, try it, fly it, let the students fly it, sell it, whatever. I might make modifications to some in some cases and beef them up where they're weak, save the weak points on them. What do you think about the Charger? Yeah, I mentioned that earlier, Rodney, back in the thing. You should go back and look at the first part. I'm not going to go through the whole thing again. Wood prop versus carbon fiber prop. Carbon fiber all the way. Wood is heavier, winds up slower, not as much thrust. Probably easier to repair, but I like carbon fiber. Why not? It's a modern age. I'm going modern age. Kyle, Fresh Breeze, you have one? Good motors? Pros and cons, Kid Taco. They're heavy. They're old design. They're not ergonomic. They will crank and run. They do have some qualities. If you pull about 3 Gs on it, that Bing carburetor will kill your motor and you will have to restart. And they do not restart very easily because the starter handle is in your damn armpit down here. I couldn't restart mine midair. I had a bad shoulder. It was difficult. I found that there were more cons to it than pros, so I sold that and bought a new one. And I like the new stuff better. You know, Fresh Breeze has been still like the same old 20-year design. You know, just like flat top stuff. They're kind of old stuff. Yeah, they're proven, but gear has made leaps and bounds since that stuff was designed and came out. Where these modern harnesses, even you're more like you're wearing the paramotor versus sitting on the paramotor. With the Fresh Breeze, it's kind of like you're literally sitting in a chair, you know, sort of sliding around. And with these modern harnesses, they hug you better, and it's more like the machine is part of you. Ergonomic, like a glove that don't fit, like a mitten versus a tight glove. You know, a Fresh Breeze would be like a mitten, a big ass heavy mitten, whereas like the Maverick or the McFly or the Nitro is more like a tight, you know, skin leather glove that's custom fit for you. That's the difference there. And it's heavy as shit. They're like, by the time you're gassed up and ready to go, you're like at 100 pounds. So Fresh Breeze is a thing of the past, in my opinion. They do crank, they do work, they will teach you to fly. But if you blow a launch, you're going to be sweating hard to get things reset up because it is so heavy. With these lightweight paramotors, you can reset without even taking off the paramotor after a blown launch. And it's no big deal. I blew 3 the other day and I never took off my paramotor. Reset every time wearing the paramotor. I wouldn't have been able to do that with a Fresh Breeze. So I'm a fan of the lighter weight stuff for sure. Back to Mark Honeycutt did a review on Dale's Dominator. Yeah, I don't think he was super impressed with it. Again, it's just kind of an old clunky paramotor. Nothing super about it. That's just marketing stuff. Even stuff you make yourself. Yeah, of course. I've been flying for 5 years. Still have to take a funny. Wow. Okay. Carbon prop on my list. Kyle's audio is prop washed. Oh, am I not coming in good? I don't know. Let's see. It's good now. Probably my internet connection. I jumped static 3 times in my earlier days. Oh, scary. Thank you for the videos. Not flying yet. I'll be calling you for instruction when the time comes. Cool. Thanks. What do you think about a thumb throttle? I like to use my thumbs for other things, Tony. I would not like a thumb throttle at all. I prefer my throttle to be these 2 fingers, and I can use my thumb and these fingers for either pulling A-lines or reaching up and manipulating the glider. If I've got my thumb or my trigger finger like in process, it's harder to do stuff with these fingers. So I prefer to use these fingers for my throttle and these fingers for the stuff I really might have to put some force into. That's just personal preference. Most people, whatever they learn with is what they use. I have happened to come across all different types, and I've tried both hands, and I can fly with pistol grip, bicycle grip, left hand, right hand. Just because I'm always testing people's gear out, I wanted to learn how to do all the different stuff. And not that big of a deal. You just have to learn to do it and pick your preference. But that's my preference with a thumb throttle. Oh, wait, we still got stuff here. Problems getting into the seat in a Nitro 200, then you need to tighten your leg straps or get a smaller harness. It could be either or maybe your balance is tipped too far forward. May need to lean it back, but there are adjustments. Nitro 200 has a Soup Air harness. Soup Air harnesses are some of my favorite harnesses in all the sports, motoring and free flight. I've sat in several Soup Air harnesses, and all of them are very comfortable, well made, well thought out. Soup Air is good kit if you are sporting that. And that's what's on that Nitro. It's a good harness, I thought. What happened to the Dirty Bird? Dirty Bird, yeah, a lot of people have been asking. I mentioned it in a video a while back, but I guess most of you are not watching all the videos. The Dirty Bird took the swing arms back at the connection points were deforming. It was bending those brackets that I built. I didn't have them fully supported in the back, and I'm no longer able to weld there because I've got the tank coated with epoxy. So I don't want to screw up the epoxy inside the tank. There is a way that I think I can fix it, but I've got so many paramotors laying around and I ran out of time. It was like, I don't want to invest my time in fixing it. It's still sitting there. All I got to do is like put a day or two worth of work into it and it'll be airworthy again. But it failed some high G maneuvers. I was pulling some pretty hard acro moves with it, and then I came down and landed and just do my when you're test flying of aircraft, you do little flights and you go back and examine everything and see what happened. And so I got through my normal flying. It was good. I got through my standard cross country stuff. It was good. Fully fueled up, high flight. It was good. But when I started doing acro on it, it started to deform some metal. And I thought, okay, well, we don't want to push it to failure because, that would be stupid. So proper test flight protocol says that when you start to see a problem developing, you stop the test flying procedure and address the problem before taking the next flight. Then you go back to where you were and you retest. So that's what ended up happening with the Dirty Bird. It's just in a sort of an idle state right now, propped up in there. I've got that motor hooked to it. I've been siphoning parts off of that if I need. So anyway, I can put it back together and fly it. I just haven't. You ever hear about the one little Dutch lesbian? Oh, gosh. Your audio is great. Occasional static, nothing bad. Let's see. What do you think of the cruise control? Cruise control is nice for cross country. I like them. TWSS is that's what she said. I don't know why people don't Google that. I put it all over my videos. That's a joke that we do at work. I'm sorry. It's a terrible joke. I have to say fresh breeze on a trike is good. Otherwise, it's like piggybacking on a rhino. Yeah, they do have their place. You could try fresh breeze on a trike, and then you're not worried about the weight. So yeah, there you go. But you still got to address it with a bigger glider, perhaps. And anyway, yeah, there's a place for them. It's outside of what I want. There's better stuff available now. What else we got here? Any more questions here? I'm surprised more PPG owners don't also own 3D printers. Thanks for your help. Videos are great. Thank you. I'm happy to help. Just kidding. Not props, but every other accessory or custom design thing. All right, guys. So we're coming up on an hour. I think I may end it here. I think I'm going to go in and get some gear ready. Maybe go out and do a little free flying and do it like that. We're under shade right now. There's a cloud out here. Let's look at the sky. I'm going to show you my sky before I get off of here. Point this camera up in the air. Let you see what we're dealing with here in North Louisiana. We got some Kumis banging off, some mild little thermals. Got some stuff in the distance here. Yeah, still looks kind of broken. It's not held together well yet. I could tell by the little fuzzy pieces of clouds here, like that one and that one and that one. And then there's some stuff over this way too, like these little pieces here, that little fuzz, this little fuzz right here. Yeah, I can't do it. There it is, that little fuzz. That tells me just the fuzzy edges of these tells me that they're broken a little bit. I like them a little more held together. There's some stuff coming over the treetops here. Again, you got these little pieces that are kind of broken off from the main cloud. That tells me that it's just those little morning bubbles just kind of bubbling up into the sky. So. But there are some places that have good development. So there's lift out there. It's doable. You just have to be able to harness it and ride it safely. And I think that's what I'm going to do maybe. So anyway, I'm going to go get to it, get my gear sorted out, get my head right, go for a flight. Much love, guys. Kyle out. Well, shit, that don't work when I'm such a habit. Let me just push the stop button here. All right.